Same thing in South Africa, Tony. You know, it's the ivory trade and the hunters. And in South Africa, of course, hunting is a huge industry. And that's what's fueling this, not science, but the hunting industry, the hunting lobby, and the ivory trade.
Yes, indeed. Jason, what's your observation on this?
Well, a couple of things that come to mind is, well, Steve mentioned science, and the science, the pro-hunting, and at least here locally, the people that respond to me or approach me or email me or however, their claims are that we need to defer to the wildlife experts at the Kansas Department of Wildlife, the people with degrees in, I'm not sure what their degrees are in, environmental studies or ecology or wildlife studies, whatever they happen to be, supposedly have specialized in school, and that they're the experts, and that we're just impassioned, overly emotionally driven animal rights activists.
Yeah, that's another one of the rallying cry is our emotionality.
It's driven by facts and not self-interest.
Well, I would say that hunting itself is completely driven by their own emotion, because that's what they want. Yeah. They want to kill, and so they just create all kinds of intellectual arguments about it and create the social climate for it, etc., etc. So, first of all, let me just ask you guys: are you misanthropes?
No, I don't consider myself to be. I am vehemently against anthropocentrism. I think of in terms of equality of all species, and I know that coming from the incredibly speciesist paradigm in which we exist, and which I grew up, it was indoctrinated into me that I'm still speciesist in ways, and probably ways that I'm not even aware of, but I try to be as anti-speciesist or non-speciesist as I can be. So I have a concern, and this is another thing that, another objection that, or attack that the pro-hunting people will throw at us as animal rights activists often, is that all we care about are the animals, and that's not true. And Steve can talk about this. I'll let him talk about this in more detail here in a second. But our position as allies and as part of Thomas Paine's Corner, and I'm sure you share this position too, Tony, is that we're total liberation for animals, oppressed humans, and the earth. And we care about all of them. It's just that, and I've said this publicly and put it in writing on my website at various times in various contexts, is that I've chosen to devote my energy and time and efforts to defending non-human animals because they're the most defenseless and the least served.
Good for you. That actually is a very good trait of our species, because we can see past our own self-centeredness. Potentially we can, and Steve can, I can, and you can, but the hunters cannot. The best, what is your view about anthropocentrism, misanthropy, etc.?
Well, that's a good distinction between anthropocentrism and misanthropy. We are opposed to a worldview that has roots in ancient agricultural society that emerged some 12,000 years ago, and perhaps even earlier with hunting. We can explore the roots of hunting, if you like, some 60,000 years ago, organized large-scale hunting. And this idea that the human beings are not a part of the natural world, but apart from the natural world. And the anthropocentric worldview sees everything in the world, from plants to animals, as existing for their needs, and that they have the right to exploit these resources for their own interests. That's the anthropocentric worldview, and that's what we're opposed to. But we're not opposed, certainly, to a human right to exist on the planet. We don't hate humans. This is one of the ways in which they try to discredit us. They call us either irrational, extremists, terrorists, or misanthropes, and that we hate humans. And if you can establish that we hate humans, or that we're extremists or we're irrational, it's very easy to discredit us and discredit our whole cause. So that's one of the rhetorical strategies.
That's why I'm asking you this question. I want us to get this completely cleared up, that we're not misanthropes.
Yes. No, I mean, if you're a total liberationist, or I mean, after all, humans are animals, so animal rights includes human rights, but
That's
human rights doesn't include animal rights, so-called animal rights. So we're trying to adopt a comprehensive ethic here. Throughout the centuries of Western history, there have been attempts to develop an expansive humanistic ethic. And after 19 or 20 centuries of trying, we've gotten so far with this. But in the last 100 years, the clear cutting-edge tendencies of ethics has been to move beyond this, to be inclusive, to include animals and environmental ethics. So we're trying to expand this process, not cut it off at its roots by saying that humans don't count and that we hate humans. This absolutely makes no sense. Humans are animals. Humans are sentient beings. And we challenge these things because we really have a distaste for suffering. We have a distaste for injustice. We have a distaste for people who are violent, who are bullies, who are manipulative. And who use their advantages against others, and who exploit the helpless and the weak. And this is why we have taken these strong positions. And this applies to any animal, two-legged animal, four-legged animal, whether it is a so-called rational biped or swims in the seas or flies in the air. We are opposed to any exploitative practice whatsoever. And so really it's the hunters in this case, to come back to this point, who are misanthropic. They are the ones, as you pointed out, Tony, who are promoting automobile accidents to satisfy their own bloodlust. In the vivisection industry, they are willing to kill people to promote bad medicines in order to make their mega profits in the pharmaceutical industries. The agriculture industry clearly does not care about the people who are consuming their so-called products. They don't care about the people who have to live in the environment of cesspools and polluted streams. And they are going to destroy human health. They are going to destroy the environment for their imperative to realize capitalist profits. So they clearly are the ones who hate and have contempt for the members of their own species, let alone the Earth and members of other species. Mm-hmm. So we really need to turn the tables on this accusation.
You mentioned rational bipeds. Would hunters qualify?
No, really the attacks on hunters, the attacks on hunting as a form of barbarism and bloodlust, this did not begin until the 18th century. It was a turning point in Western culture at that time. You did not see this in Greek, Roman, or medieval society. Hunting was considered a noble activity that promoted human virtues in Greek society. They had a less favorable view about it in Roman society. But throughout medieval Christianity, the anthropocentric worldview and the speciesist worldview were clearly aggressively promoted. But beginning in the Age of Enlightenment, these hunting was considered a form of barbaric activity, and it was also bound up with the activities of the aristocratic class. So there was a real politics to challenging hunting, because by challenging hunting, you could challenge the aristocracy and their leisurely pursuits and their decadent existence.